Tom, appreciate you joining us always on a Monday. We talked about on Thursday, get to talk about this bowl game. You get Penn State in the Outback Bowl, 11 a.m. on ESPN2 New Year's Day. And you heard Sam Pittman, and I know you were in the press conference yesterday, how excited he was, how happy he was that Arkansas is going down to Florida. Hunter Yurchek seemed to be in that same camp. How deserving are these kids to get rewarded with this type of bowl based on how much turmoil they've been through these last few seasons?
Right. Well, good morning, everybody. I just think that when you've gone from no bowls, and of course last year was kind of a weird year, and you're 3-7, and you're going to play the Texas Bowl, and you don't get to play it. But to come blasting out from Nowheresville to a Florida Bowl, it's a big deal. So guys like Grant Morgan, Hayden Henry, Myron Cunningham, Tyson Morris, the super seniors that came back, this is a huge deal. And I think for the younger players, it's like, hey, look, we show up every week and we have good game plans. We believe in what we're doing. This is what we can achieve. And Arkansas is 0-4 against Big Ten teams in bowl games. So this would be, I think there's going to be plenty of motivation. And I was on the phone with some media who cover Penn State, and I know sometimes the media can get a little cynical, but they just think this team for Penn State, vastly underachieved, that they won't be motivated. But we know James Franklin coached teams. I think this will be a good game, and I think Penn State will be motivated to play in the game.
Tom, that wasn't the only Arkansas good news that their football program received over the weekend. I know I asked Coach this, but he wasn't allowed to comment on this just because of NCAA rules. But Jaden Hazelwood has decided that Arkansas is going to be his next stop, former number one wide receiver recruit. Arkansas has never had the number one wide receiver on its campus. What does that mean for this football program, particularly this offense, that a guy that's one of the most coveted guys in the transfer portal decided that you're his next best stop?
That's really a heck of a get. And for the timing of it is beautiful for them, because it's almost as if saying this is a place to go. Also, it's validation that, we heard that, Mike Woods transferred last year, and he was concerned he wasn't going to get the ball, that KJ was really locked in on Traylon Burks, and what a heck of a first option to have. But now you might lose Burks, but you're going to bring Hazelwood in. I mean, that's saying to recruits, this is a fun place to come play. The quarterback is legit, and it's just like an invitation to the rest of a class. The timing couldn't have been better for Arkansas, because the transfer portal season hasn't begun, and I suspect that they're going to be able to reload. I mean, maybe they get some stud linebacker, maybe they get a stud rush in or two to replace the guys they're losing, because that's where they really need some ammo is at rush end. And Hazelwood, I mean, it's immediate boost to your receiving core, and you'd think they'd be a good run team next year. So having him is an enticement for others to come on board.
Yeah. Tom, when you and you probably have looked this up and have heard this, Arkansas, the last time they won a bowl game in the state of Florida was the Orange Bowl in '78. Struggled in the Citrus Bowl a couple of times, Michigan and Wisconsin. Had some other, there's been 5 opportunities since then, a Gator Bowl and an Orange Bowl against Oklahoma in '87, I believe it was. Why do you think it is that Arkansas has had its struggles over the last 4 decades in Florida in bowl games?
Well, the premier programs are going to the bowl games in Florida, so you're taking on somebody who's not a chump.
Nope.
And, I mean, in the case of Penn State, I guess the talk yesterday was that Wisconsin kind of got passed over as an 8-4 team for them to take Penn State. So, I mean, that's their deal, but excuse me, I had to sneeze. But
we all are right now.
But there's been various things. I mean, I heard when I first got here, it was 2007, that 2006 game, the Capital One Bowl, that Derek McFadden, tweaked an ankle, and he wasn't the same. So had he been 100% in that bowl game, I think he got tackled from behind by a Wisconsin player or something. He just wasn't running like Derek McFadden, and that played a role in the outcome of that game. Mm-hmm. So I think in this one, the Razorbacks might wind up being favored. Who knows if Penn State has some attrition with some transfer portal guys. I think they'll be favored, and so it would be an upset if they don't win the game.
And you're already seeing staff changes in places. Penn State's OC is going to be the new head coach at Virginia Tech. You've got, as you mentioned, transfer players in the portal. I think it's which head coach can eliminate and diminish distractions. I don't think you can eliminate them, but diminish the distractions that can come over the next 10 days or so with players coming and going, and then also coaches coming and going within your programs. That's going to be a storyline, I think, on both sides as things play out.
Oh, absolutely. And James Franklin touched on that during his – and by the way, he was out recruiting like Sam Pittman was between visits and was about to fly out when we had our Zoom with him. And James Franklin's was going to be at a certain time, like 6:30 Central, and it got moved to 7:30. We were on the phone – he was on the phone with us on that Zoom late. And he touched on how this is not like 10 years ago. There are so many different ways coaches and players get pulled. I mean, add the NIL to what you just said, Tommy. And what does that mean to us? I don't know, but NIL has its own thing. And so, yeah, I mean, you got players who are going to be advised, don't risk injury, don't play in the bowl, and you're going to get, hey, put something else on film. And I think the Arkansas brand right now, that the way Sam Pittman has this locker room, I believe you're less likely to see multiple players decide to bow out of this game, and a pretty full strength Arkansas team. And I have no idea what to expect from Penn State. They are going to have somewhat of a patchwork staff. A bunch of questions he got asked yesterday was about his defensive coordinator. And so, yeah, they're going to be passionate together, and these coaching staffs are going to be recruiting until the dead period starts, and then there's signing day. And meanwhile, you're trying to scout the other team and practice. It's crazy time.
Penn State unranked at 7-5, but 4 of their 5 losses come to teams that were ranked inside the top 12 at the time they played them, and 3 of those were on the road to people like Ohio State and Iowa. Iowa, the number 3 team in the country at the time. The one loss that kind of raises your eyebrows is to Illinois, and all of those losses to those ranked teams, Tom, were close. I think fans have to understand this may be an unranked Penn State team, but this is a very good Penn State team.
Yeah, very, very dangerous Penn State team that did not get blown out. And the Illinois loss is the head scratcher. Maybe you can compare that to, say, Arkansas's performance against Auburn, when I think they were at the tail end of a long grind, and they just weren't 100% against Auburn. So we can attribute Penn State for a similar type thing in that 8 overtime loss to Illinois. And their run game has not been very good at all. They've got two hammer backs, but they've just been somewhat of a disappointment. So Sean Clifford has kind of been the bulk of the offensive attack. I don't think they've had a 100-yard rusher in a game this year, which is just incredible. So, but I'm in agreement with you. I think they have a very strong defense. So this could be maybe like the LSU game for Arkansas, maybe more of a low-scoring game. But I do think, like I said earlier, I think they're going to be motivated to play, and that counts for something too.
Tom, let's talk about the games that we had on Saturday, Championship Saturday, starting with the one that really was the best outing of the day, Oklahoma State against Baylor. If the Cowboys had won that game, do you think the College Football Playoff Selection Committee would have put them in over Cincinnati?
I don't think so. I think that they understood that there would have been a huge backlash on that. And I know that being a conference champion in a Power 5 league stands for something. And I think it would have been close. I think Oklahoma State would have gotten over Baylor for the number 5 spot. But I believe Cincinnati had gotten itself in there. I mean, it's a great debate. And that was a wild game because of all the interceptions. I mean, there were some tipped interceptions and all that. And then on that last play, I really thought the running back had the defender outflanked. And, in his head, he's probably thinking, do I jab and cut back inside him and dive in? Because when you're 1 yard away from the goal line, the idea of stretching out, diving, putting that ball over the line, touch the pylon with it is enticing. And lo and behold, he could not get to the corner. That was an amazing play. It was brilliant just because it was like the last play. I thought Oklahoma State had them and they didn't. All the action was phenomenal on the championship night. I mean, other than Michigan's blowout of Iowa, Alabama was just eye-raising that within 1 week they can come up with a scheme and hold Georgia's blitzing out, because Georgia felt like they could rattle Young, and some other teams had done it and sacked him. Arkansas sacked him 4 times, and he moves in the pocket. He scrambles for yards on them. He does the sidearm stuff and the playground deal. Hey, cut to the corner and throws touchdown passes, and they were unbelievable. And you just never can count Alabama out, even though they almost lost the week before to Auburn.
Tom, on the subject of Bryce Young, he goes for 421 yards, 4 total touchdowns, and carves up a Georgia defense that hasn't really given up any points all season long. In your mind, was that enough to guarantee him the Heisman Trophy coming up in December?
Yeah, I was reluctant to hand it to him, but I do believe that was a convincing final argument. I mean, C.J. Stroud will pull off some votes. I think a defender or two. I think, Jordan Davis at Georgia, and I think Aiden Hutchinson at Michigan, they might pull off some voting, but I believe Bryce Young, I think he's going to win it.
We'll have to wait and see. You also got, Tommy, you're looking this up, so I'll let you ask it. Big thing tonight as well.
Yeah, the Burlsworth Trophy coming out. Stetson Bennett's what a lot of people believe will be announced in just under 12 hours, as that's coming up tonight. And, of course, a lot of people looking for the guy here in Arkansas, Grant Morgan. I know in our state this is a bigger deal. I think nationally it's gaining some traction. So what do you think? Any projections or thoughts on the Burlsworth Trophy announcement?
Well, I do have some thoughts, and I'll be there to cover it. And, good luck to Grant. I kind of think we felt like he would win it last year just because of the 111 tackles. And, he's up against a receiver and a center, and centers don't hardly rack up stats, other than, sacks that you don't allow and things like that. But the kid Morrissey at Pitt, it felt like they kind of awarded him for a career achievement, 4-year starter. I think he was a 2-time captain. And so now, clearly Stetson Bennett's numbers from this year, I would think, exceed Grant Morgan's, who played beat up a lot of the year. But if the criteria is more of a, the course of your career deal, then Grant would have a shot at this. So I think it's going to be a tight run deal. I guess the vote's already been conducted. They're ready to roll with it, but I do not know who will win. But I know that was tough on the electors. Marty Burlsworth probably took a little bit of heat from local folks that Grant didn't win it. But hey, this is a national panel of respected guys who they have that do this, and so whatever the outcome, I think people should respect it.
Yeah, you got like Dave.
Only one is bias. I mean, that's all. Is a slanted field in your own favor. That's all people want. Yeah, so
you got Dave Baker, who's the chairman of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Kurt Warner. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Ken Hatfield and others. So
Danny Ford.
We'll see what happens tonight. Well,
Kurt Warner, who's getting his own film, like the Greater story. Kurt Warner now has his own film coming out in Christmas.
I'm excited to see that movie.
Another guy named Dan Reeves. You might have heard of him.
Yeah. We've been to a few Super Bowls.
Tommy Tice, his former high school coach. So, yeah, there's some names people know on there. Yeah.
Well, Tom, we appreciate your time, man. And Thursday, I guess we'll get more into this Penn State stuff, because I know that there'll be some more talk, and you'll talk to some more media members. I know Coach Pittman and company will do some more research on the Nittany Lions for moving forward.
Yep. Sounds good, guys. Have a good week.
All right, Tom Murphy with us here on a Hot Take Monday.
It's Thanksgiving, and we all know what that means. Football. And nothing goes better with football than turkey and betting. BetOnline has you covered for all the holiday season. More props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your #1 spot for all sports action this Thanksgiving. Head to our new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus with the promo code BELIEVE to receive your bonus. That's BLEAV to receive your bonus. And it's not just football. BetOnline has pro and college hoops, NHL, boxing, UFC, even your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all these amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports.